Let's go ahead and look at the 45-degree angle rule. And this is a really foundational, important part of your picking hand technique, and really something you want to adhere to at all times, I would say. If you're just beginning, you probably have it easier because you can try to start fresh with this type of technique, or make sure that you're always applying it. If you've been playing for years and years and maybe your technique is a little different than this, it might be a little more challenging to adhere to this kind of new setup with your hand. But this gives you really optimal tone, articulation, I think accuracy, speed, and it really helps keep your thumb and fingers out of each other's way, which is really important with finger picking. So let's look at what we did here. I put a piece of string at a 45-degree angle just across the sound hole. And this line could be anywhere back here. I just put it across the sound hole. It's easy to see. And the reason that's there is that's what we want to visualize when we put our thumb on the bass 3 strings anywhere playing, and the fingers on the treble strings. Thumb should be on the upper side of that line, and the finger should be on the lower side of that line. So you can see here, okay, I've got the ring finger on the first string, middle finger on the second string, index finger on the third string, and the thumb's in control of the bottom 3. So right now I just sort of have my hand floating off the guitar. It's not touching anywhere except for maybe at towards my elbow. That'll let the string sustain. It's a technique used a lot. So if I was going to play a tune, a kind of a folk tune in that style, you can check out that my fingers and thumb will stay on the opposite side of the line, like this. You can see, for the most part, thumb was on top, fingers were on the bottom. They were out of each other's way because the thumb's going to be going downstrokes. For me, it's almost 100% of the time, unless I'm doing sort of a flat picking technique with the thumb pick. But when I'm using thumb and fingers, the thumb is always going downwards, and the fingers are going upwards. So separating these on opposite sides helps them stay out of each other's way. Versus if you had your thumb back here, now they're kind of going to crash into each other, which some players that does happen to. So this is a way to really refine and clean up your technique. Now if I were doing a palm muting technique with the back of my palm here on the bass 3 strings, especially Chet Atkins type sound, Merle Travis, Tommy Emmanuel, that line actually should still be in play. So let's just hear a little bit of something in sort of a boom chick style. Okay, so you can see, even though I'm muffling the bass, my thumb is still on the top side of the line, fingers are on the opposite side, the lower side. This is a little more tricky when you do go to muffle your bass strings because you have to lay your hand at a little bit more of an angle. And typically too, my hand would be further back towards the saddle and the bridge here where I'm muffling. But if you were to move that line back a few inches, I would still have the proper setup. So remember that the line here, this red line, that could be anywhere in this plane. This could be moving. Okay, so you always want to think about that. And the other way that I play a lot is I rest my palm on the top of the guitar, especially when I'm playing Buster B. Jones, Jerry Reed type of stuff. This is a very common way you would see them anchor their hand to really dig into the strings and pop the strings, especially on a nylon string, but also on the steel string or electric. So if I were going to do that kind of thing, like if I play a little bit of Jerry Reed's The Claw, okay, if I'm doing that, or I'm doing some sort of Buster B. Jones type of double picking, still there. That line you can see is still there, meaning that I want to keep my thumb on one side, fingers on the other. And there is a little bit of flexibility within this too. It doesn't have to be too strict or rigid. You're way out here or you're too close by the line, but as long as in general you keep that spacing between thumb and fingers, that's really important. And so I think one of the best ways you could practice that to begin with, do what I'm doing here. It takes a little bit of masking tape or some kind of tape that won't hurt your guitar and a piece of string. This is something called chenille. It's actually a fly tying material. In crafts, arts and crafts stores you could get it. Tie that across at a 45-degree angle, and then practice some picking patterns, which you can see here as well with current videos that are posted. Picking patterns, tunes, any kind of exercises you want to do, and do it in front of a mirror. That's actually what I'm doing right now. Behind the camera I have a mirror, and I'm watching to make sure that I keep the fingers and thumb at the right angle. Okay, so this is a really important part of your technique. So take time and make sure that you're really sticking to that proper placement and thumb and fingers on the opposite side of the line.